Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Artistically ADHD. My name is Mad and I release music under the name I Don't Know Yet. This is a podcast highlighting neurodivergent creatives as well as talking about my own experience as a musician with ADHD. Today's episode features musician Ruch Tha Rapper. We had a dope conversation about the importance of talking about mental health within the entertainment industry and how his creative process works, even on difficult days. This episode would not be possible without our dope patrons, Maddie B and Ashley. If you'd like to support the show, make sure to leave a review or check out the Patreon. There are some dope benefits, including a handwritten thank you with an exclusive sticker, behind-the-scenes content, and a shout-out on the podcast. Your support means I can keep doing what I love and spotlighting artists within the community. You can follow me on Instagram at I Don't Know Yet Music and at Artistically ADHD Pod to stay up to date as well as submit guest or topic suggestions. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get into the episode. Hey, how's it going? If you've been keeping up with the podcast, you may have noticed that there was a bit of a hiatus. Not to play the college student card, but I'm gonna play the college student card. That being said, I'm super excited to start uploading again, so make sure to stay tuned for episodes every other Friday. I've also been working on updating the format of the episodes a bit, which includes a recommendation of something I've been reading, listening to, or watching recently that I've really enjoyed. They aren't sponsors or anything, but I'm very down if they want to be. This week's rec is Keep Going by Austin Kleon. If you've read either of his previous books, which are Steal Like an Artist or Show Your Work, I highly recommend checking this out. ADHD can definitely put up creative blocks, and this book offers some genuine advice on how to keep going. It's very accurately titled. Ever since turning my passion for music into my career, it's been really difficult to remember why I started in the first place. Cleon gives really good reminders to ignore the numbers as much as possible and make sure that you really like the process of your art, not just the results. That, and honestly so much more, helped me reevaluate why I make music and why I started this podcast. Again, not sponsored, but I'll put the link in the show notes if you want to check it out. All right, let's get into the interview. Well, hello. Welcome to the podcast. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, just because I don't want to say anything that sounds weird.
Because you don't know anything about me. We've never met, actually. No. Nicholas Martin, also known as Ruch Tha Rapper, lyricist, songwriter, degenerate, a lot of names for me for a lot of different people. No, I make music, and it's fun. I rap. I try to sing. Not as good at that. But, yeah, I've gotten to do a lot of cool stuff over the last 2-ish years, getting to travel to different places, and, meet some idols of mine in the music industry. So that's been super cool.
Yeah, I've
seen sad a lot.
I've seen a lot of the shows you've done. It's insane. Some of them are, fucking huge. So.
Yeah, and we're finally, getting back. I'll be in Sioux Falls on May 5th to open up for Struggle Jennings again.
Damn.
Riff Raff, when he comes to town, I'm opening up for him. So that's
hell yeah.
God, you do not understand how pumped I am, man.
He's so cool, though.
Been too long since I've gotten to do a show.
Yeah, I honestly, I haven't, besides, playing on campus, I don't think I've done a show since, high school, really, or,
what we need is for you to hop on one of my songs and then come up on stage with me and perform it.
Oh, my God, I think I'd pass out if it was in front of more than, 10 people, but, yeah, I do my best.
Oh, I also have ADHD. Gonna throw that in there since that's kind of the whole thing here.
It's really any mental health issues, so it really encompasses.
I was gifted with a terrible brain full of illnesses.
Oh my God.
There we go.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess to kind of jump into it, when were you diagnosed and what was that like for you?
I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And I was getting in trouble at school and just acting a fool. So nothing's really changed to now. I just graduated, but I went to Prairie to kind of figure stuff out, and they're like, "Hey, dude's got ADHD," and they're just like, "We're gonna give him pills," and I wouldn't take them, right? So they started hiding it in my ice cream. Just geniuses. They started taking it, and then I was calling them, and they were like, "Yo, it worked."
Damn. So you went on meds right away.
Yeah, it was 5 or 6. It was kindergarten or first grade, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's such a weird discourse with putting children on medication, especially ADHD. It's such a big joke in TV shows to be just put them on Adderall to get them to shut up.
Yeah, it's
so
actually
like,
terrible for kids.
oh
Believe it or not, because addiction,
yeah.
man.
Oh, definitely. And like the thing is, I was listening to some podcast or something sometime, and they were talking about how like for adults who have to function in society, like hold a job, like it makes sense that sometimes we just have to like be on meds to kind of not die of hunger. But for kids, it's so easy. I feel like it's so much easier to like change their environment or like give them learning tactics, like homeschool them, like have the classroom like adjust a little bit, because like it's not that hard to just like give them a little bit of a benefit sometimes.
Yeah,
So
no. I luckily had a lot of teachers growing up that surprised. Well, a lot is an overstatement.
yeah.
I had a good chunk of teachers that were surprisingly like really good with stuff like that, and so that was cool. I got lucky there, but high school that changed because didn't care.
Yeah.
ADHD, man. I was the type of dude that I would never do the homework. I would never pay attention in class, right? And then I'd get hundreds on the test somehow because like I still soaked up the info. I just did not pay attention. So I was lucky there.
Yeah. I hated everyone like that. So like I'm a little mad, but
Look at us
I'm
now
glad that it
on a
worked for
podcast
you.
together.
Yeah, but so I guess since you were pretty young when you got diagnosed, you probably didn't have like any really like preconceptions about it, but when did you kind of actually figure out what it was outside of like what you'd heard from just society in general?
And shoot, I'd have been old. I'd have been like 16 because I never looked into it. I was just like, oh, I gotta take pills. It is what it is. And then I started looking into it. I'm like, oh, that's why I am the way I am. That makes sense now and all that. So yeah, I can't really say I had a lot of really any experience with it before I was on meds because I didn't care enough to look into it.
Yeah.
But then I started going to like therapy and stuff and talking about it, and stuff started making more sense. Like why I'd just sit around and be super lazy and then randomly for like a week just be killing every goal I had set for myself. And I was like, oh, I'm not lazy. I just have terrible time management. And by that, I just sit on a couch and do nothing for an entire day.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I got diagnosed a year ago now, so it's all been
welcome to the club,
really
man.
new. I know.
I think I
crazy.
even commented that when you had the post that you got it. I'm pretty sure I said welcome to the club or something like that.
Yeah,
a little heartwarming welcome.
It's been really weird. I got on meds pretty much right away. But
I actually don't take meds anymore. I quit taking them when I was like 18.
I stopped like 2 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah? You noticing any change? Any difference in your behavior?
Definitely. It just started giving me like way too much anxiety. And like I was just nauseous all day. So like I could focus, but like I couldn't function still because I felt disgusting and like I was like dizzy because of how like just bodily anxious I was.
Right. So, yeah, that's no fun.
I don't know. Yeah. So it's a really like weird compromise I'm trying to figure out right now, like if it's worth it.
When I did mine, like I was either, if I didn't take it, I'd be rambunctious in your face, let's go,
yeah.
And then when I did take it, I just like go to school, not talk to anybody, go home, lay in bed, do nothing, and I didn't like that version of me. So when I turned 18, I was like, all right, here's the deal, Grandma.
Yeah,
I'm getting off.
Yeah, well, I mean, like
that's your decision now.
It's helpful to an extent, but like it is the same as like really any other meds. Like it can start to like numb you, and I feel like that's just
no bueno.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I actually like ran into a thing where I was like abusing the shit out of them. Because I found out you could snort them when I was like 16 or 17, and I was like, oh yeah, this is so much more fun. And that's another big part as to why I quit taking them, because I felt like I needed them to function, and I was like, this is going to turn out into a slippery slope. We don't need that. Yeah, and then also like the thing is I sort of ended up realizing is like, yeah, it helps you focus, but like not always necessarily on positive things. Like I would like just like hyperloop on like some negative like I don't know, depressive thought I had, and I'm like, I can focus, but this is not good. Yeah, no fun at all. That's for sure. I've had that same thing happen before, so I get that. I still do it. I'm going to be completely honest. Pills or not, I'm still 100% doing it. But I don't know. It's like one of those things you can kind of like learn different tactics to get out of it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, which, I mean, it doesn't always work. It's not guaranteed 100% success, but it helps 100%.
Yeah, it does for sure. So I guess when were you diagnosed with all the other like mental things that you deal with, and do you
13.
did you ever think about like how they interact with your ADHD at all?
No, I'm not gonna lie. I've just never thought about it because I was reading the questions that
Yeah.
you had an idea of to ask, and I was like, oh man, I'm really gonna have to pull these answers out of my ass because I have no idea. So I started thinking about it, and yeah, no, I also got bipolar, anxiety, depression. There's a few other ones I can't remember the names of them. Basically, I'm just like crazy, is what they like to tell me. But one of the this is gonna sound terrible, but one of the cool things about it is when I had like going through a mania, like a high in bipolar, and my ADHD just works right alongside it. I can do so much musically in that like week,
Right.
2 week span. But then I wait like 3 months to do something again. Like last year, when I dropped my album Real Raw Ruch, was not a thing until the night before I dropped it. And I just had these songs set up, and I was like, I'm gonna drop an album. And I was going through a mania at the time, and I just like dropped an album, didn't tell anybody I was working on one. And I was like, where'd this come from? It's like, yeah, I dropped an album because I just made a rash decision while going through a manic episode.
Damn.
So there's like pros to it of those working together, but then there's also when you're in the depressive state and your ADHD kicks in, you don't want to do anything, you're just sitting. Next thing you know, a month's gone by and you haven't done anything with your life.
Right.
It's like, oh, excuse me. Wow, that's gonna be attractive. Don't edit that out. And then like the anxiety part, that gets really weird during shows because my ADHD is telling me to go out there and just like kill it and be weird, get wild, throw a cake at somebody, just random, just stuff like that. And then the anxiety is like, oh, but what if you mess up? Which is weird because I'm also super confident. So like I have these 3 things just like battling in my head before I go out on stage. And, I'd say the final 10 minutes before I go out, I literally have to like sit in one spot and just like breathe and just think about the things that will go right and not necessarily think about the things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun to battle with those 3 thought processes at once.
Yeah.
But then I get out on stage and I realize like this is what I'm supposed to do, and it kind of all just like a calm rushes over me.
Yeah, so it's a really good outlet for sure.
But yeah, it's pretty much like they all just battle each other. The ADHD is just the one that's like, let's get wild, and then everything's also like, what if we break a leg? And it's like, why would you even think that? Why would you even assume I'm gonna break a leg right now?
Yeah, it's always like it. That's why I always feel like I'm like constantly contradicting myself because nothing that I'm thinking makes sense or like is rational.
It's like the whole like I'm the greatest artist in the world, and then like 20 seconds later, I'm never gonna do anything with this music. Why do I do it? I'm terrible. And that is a daily thing, and it's just like, why, man?
Yeah, I know. And then it's so tiring. So like I feel like I can't get anything actually productive done because I'm just bouncing back and forth between just like self-doubt and like wanting to do things.
It's like a fine line. There's self-doubt and then bang, narcissism, and it's just like, how did I jump so fast?
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally struggle with bipolar. I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety when I was 13. But I have a lot of friends who are bipolar, and bipolar and ADHD are like such a common combination. So like it's really interesting to actually hear about it. But yeah, I mean, like I guess just getting diagnosed at like an older age, I was able to like kind of realize like why I was anxious and like realized that was just coming from ADHD things and like not being able to focus and feeling like a failure and everyone calling me lazy all the time. And like, yeah, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. God, it's just
keeps you on your toes.
It really does. And like, it's just crazy how much I didn't know like before I got diagnosed because
what I like about you is that you actually researched it. And
so
I've just
much,
been kind of like riding on like the edge of my seat, just like kind of seeing what might happen.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
It was just your
Because
birthday
I've
though,
never
right?
like wanted to. What was that?
It was just your birthday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're an Aries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm the best.
I'm not gonna blame everything on astrology, but I'm gonna blame a little bit on astrology. So that's
I love
fun.
astrology.
It's so.
I don't know if it's. There was one time it got weird. I have really bad nose issues, which may have to do with the amount of nasal ingestible drugs I've done in my life. Not going to get into that. I don't condone drugs. Whoever's watching this, don't do them. They're bad. Okay. But in my like chart or whatever they're called, it was talking about how like the person born on this day, this time, or whatever, that's in Aries, is going to have nasal issues in their life. And I was like, okay, wait a second, that's a bit weird. That's not a coincidence. That's weird. You know, I was like tripping about that for like so long, and now I believe it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, okay. The thing
this
is
wild.
Okay, like not to go off on a giant tangent, but like
ADHD,
it's about
here
exactly
we go,
right. Okay, so like it's just if you just think about it for a second, like there's literally shit about like the moon and like tides. So if the moon can like move water, like it can fuck with our little emotions sometimes, you know?
Oh, easily.
Like
easily.
And it's just and like everyone gets so like stressed about it when they don't believe in it. They're like, this is stupid, like it's so general. I'm like, no shit. First of all, look at your birth chart, it's more specific. Second of all, it's just like tendencies. It's the same with like personality quizzes. It doesn't mean that's like who you are and like who you're like going to turn out like. It's just like your innate like general feelings and like your actions if you're not like thinking about it or growing as a person. Anyway, it bothers me. Right.
Welcome to the ADHD podcast. We range from everything from mental health to astrology, baby.
Oh my god, yeah. Everything's fine.
How many people have you had on here?
2. I don't know. It took me so
long
long to get to that
number. How often do you go off on tangents?
A lot.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know.
I can't be the only one.
I don't know. This is the first one I've done without taking Adderall, so like it's gonna be wild.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so to get a little bit more into music, I watched some of the Space Pod interviews, and you kind of talked about like being interested in music from a pretty young age, but not taking it seriously till a few years ago. So sort of in that realm, like, have you always been like intentional about like trying to have a creative career, or like what has your experience been? Yeah.
For as long as I can remember, I've been writing songs and playing instruments, like even since I was like a little kid. But that was just because I liked attention. 100% girls would look at me and I would be like, yeah, I write songs. And then I was 14, and this is quite possibly the worst villain origin story, okay? I was listening to a Macklemore song, and I rapped a verse correctly. I was with my friends. And I looked them dead in the eyes, and I said, guys, I can do this. I can be a rapper. Seriously, that was my like thought process, that I could rap a verse somebody else had written that I heard a million times, and that meant that I had the juice. So cool enough, I did end up having the juice, but I didn't know that back then. And so I wrote a couple songs, and they were trash. I couldn't stay on beat, any of that. And I hadn't even hit puberty yet, so it was really high-pitched voice. But I kept at it. I kept making the music because it gave me something to do when I didn't want to do anything else. So I want to say it was like 2018. The beginning of 2018, I dropped a song called Secrets. And it just got a lot of numbers. I think it's at like 70K right now on SoundCloud.
Damn.
And obviously that's not the numbers I was getting back then. I think it ended up getting to like 5K or 10K within like a week or two. And I was sitting there like, whoa, this is like a viable thing. I can actually like, people will listen to my stuff. And so I started taking it a little bit more serious, but nothing like crazy. Like I wasn't sitting there thinking like, I'm going to do shows. I'm going to do all this. Like it was kind of just like a hobby at that point.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to like August of that year. It was my first year out of high school. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And some guy was just like, hey, you want to be on this show? And I was like, sure. And I'm shitting my pants at this point because I've never performed for anybody. And I don't know how you're supposed to perform. I don't know anything. And it ends up getting like 60 people there. So cue me shitting my pants once again. I go out there and I start doing it. And there's like people singing my songs back to me, right? Damn. And I'm like, yo, this is a fantastic feeling, man. Like, feed my narcissism. I'm not actually narcissistic before people get crazy, but I was like, I love this. So I kept doing it. And then I started getting more and more success. And I was like, oh, this is like actually a thing. So then I, paused on the whole college experience because I didn't want to go anyway. And then last year, it just like a storm came through. Well, I guess it's 2 years ago now. Shout out COVID. Yeah. I was just doing I was having 3 shows a week. People were buying merch. People were listening to my music all the time. And then that's kind of actually when I decided that I really wanted to do music. It was only 2 years ago. But yeah, it's been a weird ride. Yeah. For sure. Especially with COVID and everything. Because I was like, I'm on the verge of doing something big. And then it was just like, pause. I was like, all right, cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's insane. So have you had traditional jobs the entire time? You've been doing this
for the most part. A lot of food industry stuff. Right now I'm working at T-Mobile. So if you're listening to this and you need a phone, hit up your boy, Ruch Tha Rapper, the real Ruch on Instagram. We'll hook you up. I worked at F5 Projects for bang. I'm rapping today. But yeah, I've there's probably been a total of 3 months that I wasn't working while doing that. So that's a grind in itself, which is why I'm thankful I have ADHD, because I can sleep for 4 hours and then wake up and just be good to go for no apparent reason at all.
Damn, I wish.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's my favorite thing about it. There's a lot of bad qualities to it, but that is a great one.
Yeah.
Because there's been, especially when I was doing all those shows in 2019, I was getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night regularly.
Jeez,
that's also kind of a bad part of ADHD as well, is that when you do find something you really like and have a drive for, you will spend an insane amount of time doing it.
Yeah,
and next thing you know, it's 4 a.m. and you gotta be at work, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a little bit of the difference. There's I don't know if you've heard about the two types of ADHD, which is hyperactive versus inattentive. And in males versus females, males are mostly hyperactive and females tend to be more inattentive. So I don't have really the energy and intenseness or whatever, man. That I know. Yeah. So that's why it took so long. And that's why it takes so long for a lot of girls to get diagnosed, because it's not outwardly obvious. So yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I've really only heard about that.
Man, I'm so sorry that you didn't get the cool part of ADHD.
I know, I wanted the cool part.
Imagine just being too powerful. Part. They have to give you that. They're just let's give this guy that's already overtly confident just the ability to not sleep and go crazy. And it's I didn't think I needed that, but all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's fun though. It sucks sometimes because I would get tired after a while of doing that, but I'm thankful for it, especially in this career when you don't know if it's gonna happen and you have to put in all that work. It's pretty awesome that I can get something like that out of it.
Right. So I guess you sort of not fell into it, but kind of decided while it was happening to pursue it. But is it still a good emotional outlet for you?
Oh yeah, that's a huge thing for it. Especially within the last album and this one, you can definitely hear the change. But there's always been a lot of storytelling in my stuff.
Yeah.
Relatable stuff, content like that. Not what I like about it is it's not so out there and so personal
Mm-hmm.
that people are like, you have to have a specific situation happen to you
Right.
to relate to my music.
Yeah.
It's kind of just very broad, the way I do it. And so there's a lot more people that can listen to that and be like, whoa, I'm going through the same thing. This resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
So that, like, that's where the emotional outlet comes from. It's not even just the getting it out, because I'm going to think about it still, whether or not I write it down.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that other people can listen to it and hit me up and be like, yo, this really made me feel better. That's where I get it. Like, that's where my emotional outlet comes from.
Yeah, that's why I miss playing shows so much, because I haven't had like that genuine connection in so long. Like, it's the best part. I remember, like I played like a tiny show like in Green Bay at like a coffee shop like 3 years ago. And
that's so fire though. I love that.
Yeah. It was, I don't know, it was really cool. But like a couple people came up to me after and they're like, I like cried. They're like, no one's ever been able to put that feeling into words before. And they were like, thank you. I'm like, like I thought of like the next like 3 like suicidal spurts I had, like that shit got me through it, honestly. Like
I get that.
That shit is so powerful. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I just eat it up because I love compliments anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'll like get off of a show and just like ride an ego high for like 3 weeks because I'm like, yeah, I'm up here, big man on campus. That's a good feeling. One of my favorite things I've ever had sent to me was I had a friend who had attempted suicide. Mm-hmm. That's not my favorite thing. That was a terrible way to lead into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My bad, guys. But I wrote a song about it. I wrote a hook, and a verse. I think it was a short one. It was just like a video I threw on Facebook and I posted it, and a lot of people like loved it. And then like a year later, I posted one from my perspective when I went through something like that. Mm-hmm. And somebody texted me a really, really, really long paragraph at like 1 a.m. And they were just basically going about how they had the same feelings, like, and they were about to do something that wouldn't have been good. And they listened to that and it kept them. Yeah. And they realized that there were things they could do in their life. Mm-hmm. And I teared up. I'm not a crier. Like, I never have been.
I am.
And that's just on emotional trauma. No, I'm not kidding. But that too, that made me tear up. I was like, they're like, this is what I want to do. I want people to listen to my stuff. I don't need to be a big party rapper with all the flashy bling and all that. I mean, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't need that. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll snag 1,000 fans, 2,000 fans, right? That'll just like be loyal, buy my merch, do that. I'll make like $58K a year and live off that because I know I'm making a difference, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a big thing for me is when people text me stuff like that, because that's what keeps me going 100%.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a weird feeling too, because like growing up listening to people like who do have that effect on you, and then like realizing that like you are capable of saying things that like hit people in the same way is
and it's like, well, I have that effect on you. Like I still like I was talking to somebody the other day and they were telling me about how my new song that came out, Happiness is Just an Internet Persona. Yeah. Shameless plug.
Pretty good.
They were like, it's one of my favorite songs. And I was joking, like, oh, what's your top 3? And they said it. I was like, do you have a top 5? And they're like, do you just like not think I listen to your music? Mm-hmm. And I was like, listen, I could have 1 million fans and it still weirds me out that people like search me out just to listen to me, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, I believe that you support me, but it's still a fucking weird feeling. But it's a good feeling. It's a good weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's not that I hate the whole, like, thing that, like, my trauma made me who I am, because, like, no, like, trauma sucks, and you shouldn't have to go through that, but, like,
right.
It's nice, like, being able to say things that other people aren't able to say who are struggling with the same stuff, like,
right.
To, like,
that's why I love this podcast, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I'm like so pumped to be. I'll say it 1 million times that I'm so pumped to be a part of this because I'm already super open with my mental health.
Yeah,
and now I can like go on here and talk about it and put you out on my platforms and the avenues I got. So then when you have other guests, people can listen to that and be like, oh, I resonate with this person more than I did Ruch. I love this. Oh man, I'm smiling right now. God damn.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. This is an ad, but it's a really cool one. This week, I got the wonderful opportunity to work with Boosted Chews. Started in 2019 by two students at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Boosted Chews are caffeinated chocolate chews that'll help you take your caffeine wherever and whenever you want. There are 4 flavors, including original, mocha, hazelnut, and mint. Each chew contains 33 milligrams of caffeine, so 3 chews is about a cup of coffee. Personally, coffee gives me stomach pain and anxiety, usually because I drink it too fast. So that's why I love Boosted Chews, because you know how much caffeine you're getting and it won't give you coffee breath, which is dope. If this sounds like something you'd be into, use code I don't know yet at checkout to get 15% off at boostedchews.com. I have a code. That's really cool. You should go use it, please. That would be awesome.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to do this. It's just especially because of COVID, the reason I wanted to start doing music seriously when I was in high school, I literally just want to tour and then have hella deep conversations with people about anything. And I wasn't really able to do that, especially being in school and working.
Mm-hmm.
So this is dope. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. This is as soon as I saw you, you posted about, I don't even remember, it was a while ago, a couple months at least.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the year. So
yeah, I saw you post about it, and I said to myself, I'm getting on that. I'm gonna tell people I'm sad.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about people that deal with mental illness making the most mental illness jokes?
Oh my God.
Or is that just me? Is that just me?
No.
Because I definitely joke about it so much, and then people are like, "Whoa, that's not a funny joke," and I'm like, "No, see, I can say that because I have it."
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like, "Okay," and I'm like, "All right, this joke just flopped in these guys."
It's every comedian is depressed. It's just
for sure.
Every
artist in any avenue, you cannot just have a little sadness in you and not, you know what I mean?
Because it's a coping thing. The reason I started music is because I was going through fucking childhood trauma and I didn't know what else to do besides be creative
and make fantastic music. May I add?
Thanks.
I listen to your songs still after all this time at least 10 times a week.
To sort of, I don't know, kind of get back on track. Do you have a general creative process for writing songs or making them, or is it pretty
mine
sporadic?
Is really just cookie cutter. I'm not even gonna lie. I'll just there's definitely 2 different processes. There's one when I'm not in the mood but I need to do something to feel better about myself, and then there's one when I'm in the mood. So when I don't want to do it, I'll go into a room with no distractions at all. I'll have my windows shut. I'll even throw on headphones that have a lot of noise canceling. I'll throw on some beats and I'll just usually listen. I'm not even kidding, for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I won't even write. I'm just listening because I need something to really just grab me.
Yeah.
And then I'll find that and I'll sit down. I'll write a freestyle mostly right off the bat. And one of the things that annoys people during my creative process is that I replay the beat at least 500,000 times. Because I'll do one line and then I'll rewind.
Yeah.
One line, rewind, make sure those 2 sound together, rewind, make sure, double check that they sound good. And then, that one gets hard though, because I don't want to write, but I know I need to. So that process usually takes me 6 hours.
Yeah.
And then that's not even considering when I'm just sad and don't want to do anything anyway. But the creative process when I'm in the mood is awesome. All right. So it starts out with, one sec. Oh, I don't have it on me. I was going to grab my can of dip and just show it. Not that it matters, I guess. But it starts out with nicotine, right? Throw one in. First beat I hear, I write to it. If it's garbage, whatever. Yeah. I'll get 12 songs done within 20 minutes.
Jesus.
And then I choose one. And that's the more fun side of it because it doesn't take any time. This last album I wrote, I think I had it written within a week, not even. And which was tight because my first album took me a year. And the second album took me 6 months, and now I just like really felt this vibe, and I was just like,
Yeah.
boom, written. Let's go. Keep them coming. I ended up writing 2 sides of this album, which is super cool. But like, yeah, the creative, it just really depends. Because there'll be sometimes like I have to be in the studio to really kind of get into the mood to write.
Right.
There's other times when I literally have to have 0 distractions, nobody around me. It's just, yeah, it really depends. And if I go through something, you know, like say I go through something pretty crazy, I'll usually go and write right away. So my creative process, there's like 100,000 of them. And it just has like little tiny, like, what's the word I'm looking for? There we go. ADHD brain. I was talking faster than I was thinking. Shit. Doesn't matter. There we go.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting.
Factors. There's many factors. There we go. I don't know why it took me 30 seconds to think of the word factors. But yeah, it's just, you know, there's a lot of little things that go into it, and depends on how I'm feeling and stuff like that. But it's usually pretty cookie cutter, that it's just kind of like a sit down, listen to beats and write, and whatever comes out. Like I don't have anything crazy like special about my creative process.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's really good that you brought up like how hard it is like when you don't want to, because that shit can suck.
It's the worst thing in the world when you don't want to do it.
Yeah, can be really draining. But
because I'll end up throwing away like almost 100% of the songs I write when I'm like that.
Yeah.
But then the whole writing 12 songs in 20 minutes thing is usually uplifts it and cancels it.
And it's like probably good practice and all that shit too. So
I don't need practice. I'm
whatever.
The best. Give me 20 minutes and I'll be saying the exact opposite thing.
Oh God, yeah. No, I entirely forgot what I was gonna ask.
There we go. Let's go.
Okay, so I don't know how involved you are with like the business and like marketing side of your stuff, but has doing all that and like making it a more serious career move made it like harder to write and like be creative like on the spot?
Not really. I'm actually like, I like to say that I think my music's good. But I think a big reason I'm successful is actually how I run the business side of it. There's this group CLM. They're like a show promoter that books a lot of rappers. Like strictly goes through me first before asking other people about opening slots, because of how professional and like quick and easy I am to deal with.
Right.
And it's like that because when I first started music, I was really heavily like bringing in the business aspect of it versus the just hoping that my music sounds good enough that people might let me on to something.
Right.
So I actually it has not affected me at all. If anything, it's made me better.
God. Okay. All right. Well, another reason I'm doing this podcast is for selfish reasons, to learn things. So how? Because that's been really.
You need to travel to the Bahamas and find this crystal rock, and then you smoke it. Oh no, that was spring break. Don't smoke the rock in the Bahamas. You get into a lot of trouble. Like it has to do with how seriously you take yourself. Like with me, I take myself very seriously, and I expect to be treated that way.
Yeah. And
so I treat the person on the other side the way I want to be treated in like a business negotiation or any type of format that business is involved musically. And so do I want somebody to wait 20 months to get something back to me? No, I want it done right away. So that's how I do it. And a lot of it is just talking. It's stupid. If you just become friends with somebody and you have like good rapport with them right off the bat, how easy everything else becomes. Because not only are you partners and it's still about the money, but you're treated a little differently because you buddies with this person. And that's how it began with CLM, is that the first show this guy Kevin was in, I sat down and talked to him for like 35 minutes before my show. Same thing with the DJ that goes with CLM. I talked to him for a long time. And we built rapport between each other that it's like, okay, I like this guy. He likes me. Oh, Ruch, you want to be the last opener before the main act comes out? I get that, because none of the other artists there went out of their way to talk to them,
Yeah.
and didn't make it easy on them. Like when we have to do, because we have to buy tickets through them, right? And we usually make our money back and then some, because it's pretty easy to sell tickets to really anybody. And that's where the business side comes in, the charisma and all that, is that I can just like convince you to do something. Not that I use it for selfish and immoral reasons, but it's really easy for me to talk to people and get them to feel comfortable and do things that I want them to do. And that goes along with like the business side, is that it's just like, that's all it is. It's just talking.
Yeah. I definitely
not
like
being a weirdo.
Yeah, like,
which is hard for me.
I don't know. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. And like the little experience that I've had talking to people is like, I mean, yeah, I met the guy who like helped me record my like first little acoustic EP. I met him at a Guitar Center and we just became friends. And he's like, come on, I'll help you do stuff.
Like, don't act too cool. A lot of rappers in Fargo, like obviously you're not a rapper.
Yeah.
So it's weird to say this, but rappers are a completely different breed. Especially local rappers. Like they all think they're the goats and they have foreign cars or some shit.
Oh, dude,
like, nobody wants to hang out with you or put you on or do good things for you because you act like you're better than everything. And it's like the easiest way to kill any chance of having a career, in my opinion. Unless your music's like really fucking good. But even then, get a manager and let him talk.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I'm lucky enough that I don't need a manager, because when I do talk to people, I'm not talking to them as an artist. Sometimes, there's definitely times where you have to like make sure they know your worth.
Yeah, that's fair.
But 90% of the time with me, it's just shooting the shit with somebody, and then we come to an agreement on what we both want at the end.
I don't know. This isn't super relevant to ADHD, but I'm really curious to like have this discussion with someone. Mainly like just I feel like it's definitely like more of a rapper thing in general, is like,
oh god,
no, it's not bad. I just like for real want to talk about it. So I feel like, not to like assume, but like most rappers like buy beats or like have beats made for them, or like look for beats and like start there, which is like super dope. And like, I don't know how to frame this without like being accusatory. I don't think it's like easier or anything, but I've always been like really jealous of.
It's easier.
Being able to like, I don't know, because like it's not.
It's easier. It's 100% easier to just write to something versus having to create the chords, the drum patterns. It's 100% easier. That's not. You're not accusing anything. I can promise you, it's easier.
I just don't want to start shit, because writing is really hard.
I'll say it for you.
I don't know though. I don't know. It's the whole thing with like some people like don't even write their stuff either, like, and they're still like just as much artists most of the time, if they're not like douchey about it.
I would agree that they're still artists because they're the entertainers of it. But yeah, like you can definitely tell when people have just written to the beat and when they haven't, because like I'll use Duro as an example. He's a really good friend of mine. The songs we made from scratch versus the songs we wrote to because we found the beats on YouTube, the songs we made from scratch are always better because we got to make it exactly how we wanted.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's why it's more difficult, is because you're going to need a lot more time. And it may sound like absolute shit when you're done. And you have no idea until you're there. Whereas when you already have the beat just there, preloaded, ready to go, and you just write to it, man, it takes you literally 5 less days to do that than it does to make it from scratch. Yeah. So 100% easier. I will agree to that.
So I guess like my kind of question off that is like, when you guys do kind of do things like from scratch and like make the whole beat and everything, like how do you get past like any creative blocks in that aspect? Because those are a lot harder to work through.
Alex Duro. 100%. Anytime I've made something from scratch on the beat side, he carries. When I go, man, I can't say that I've ever really like gone through a creative block before. Like that sounds super just like.
Well, I feel like working with having like, I know you have like a like handful of people like who you've worked with.
Shout out the basement, boy.
Yeah, and like I feel like that's definitely like an advantage
It
to be able
helps.
to like
It
bounce
really
ideas
helps.
off of each other and
Mhm.
like just like being able to like, be honest about what's going on.
Well, and I
Um,
think another reason I don't really go through blocks is I'm a storyteller at heart, right?
mhm,
And so like I would write books growing up and
yeah.
stuff like that, and poems, and so I already have such an imagination
Mhm.
that I can write about anything, and it's very easy to make it rhyme for the sole purpose of the fact that when I was in high school, I read the dictionary. So I just know a
Yeah.
lot of words for no reason. I can't spitfire them, but they're in there rent free. And then I also have a lot of real life experience with things. So you
Right.
take those two things together, and it's just like really hard not to be able to come up with something.
Yeah,
Like
that's fair.
there's been a few times where I would say like I had a creative block.
Mhm.
Um, and I just start writing about the room I'm in.
Yeah.
So I get that base layer of, okay, there's a light on the wall, all this other stuff. Okay, I got that, the scene set. Now let's write a story about it. And next
Yeah.
thing you know, I have a song.
Yeah, that's actually like a really interesting way to just start because that's
I
always the
if you
hardest part
can't
is just starting a song.
if you can't write about the things in front of you and make it in, even if it's a shitty song, get it out of
Right.
the way. But if you can't do that, in my opinion, you're not a songwriter.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about it like that. Like I'll always like when I'm just like I don't know, just messing around on my guitar and shit, like I'll start just saying random shit. Like that's what I used to do when I was in high school. I would just like ramble about my feelings until like something
Mhm.
happened. But yeah, I never every time I sit down to like write now, I feel like so much like weird pressure. I'm like, that's too simple. Like I can't like this
Dude,
sucks.
it literally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that's the beautiful part about music is that you can literally say the most simple thing and it's
Hmm.
still going to resonate so much with somebody that they're like, this is
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah. That's a really good
Because
point.
like you could write something that you think is the cat's meow, for a lack of
Hmm.
better terms, um, and release it and nobody fucking likes it. Or on the other side, you could write something you think is absolute dog shit and everybody loves it. It's not
Yeah.
up to you and I to
That's
make a
so
song good.
frustrating though.
It's up to us to release that song. It's up to everyone else if it's good or not. We don't get that
Yeah.
choice. That's the curse of being an artist. And once I like realized that, I took all the it took all the pressure off me as an artist.
Yeah.
That I'm just like my job is to get it out there. Whether
Hmm.
it's good or not, I can't like you take off all the expectations with it too when you realize that. And so when I would be sad that it didn't get the numbers I wanted or
Yeah.
not as many people shared it as I wanted, it sucked. But when I realized that that is what it is, like it
Yeah.
sounds like a really weird way to like just simple as you would say way to look at it. It just made it easier. And then now I have no expectations when I release stuff
Hmm.
because I know that it's just my job to get it out there. And my music's doing a million times better because
Yeah.
I quit getting in my head so much about how something should sound, what people would like. I wrote what I like, and if other people didn't like it, that's whatever.
Yeah. Damn.
We on tangents, boys.
Yeah. No, this is genuinely so helpful. Like I love shit like this. Just it's
Yeah,
awesome.
no, I love learning from people is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's
Unless
great.
they have like really shitty things to teach you, like how to cook crack, then it's probably not that good of a thing to learn.
I feel like it's
Unless
still
you're
kind of
really
like
broke.
interesting though, you know.
Yeah, I had this guy on my podcast tell me how to cook crack. I'm never gonna do it, but if I ever needed to, I know how.
Exactly. I have other useless information in my head. Why not more?
Yeah, why not more? Why not learn how to do this? I love it.
Yeah, exactly. God, wow, so many breaks. This is a professional podcast. I mean, I guess we've honestly kind of gotten through everything I wanted to talk about. So I guess I'll kind of just go
Just
into the
ask
last
me weird
thing.
questions then. Rapid
That's
fire, would you
true.
rather? I don't know.
I guess we can do that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you sort of already covered this, but like end goal or just like how you want your life to be, like what is success for you, like at this point?
Success. Oh, success musically or for myself? Because those are
Kind
two
of.
very different things.
I mean, both if you want
Okay.
to.
Musically, I just want to be able to do music. I don't care how much I make, as long as I have a livable wage off of it, and
Yep.
I'm changing lives. That's cool. I don't need to be famous. If I'm making like I survived off 10K last year.
Ooh.
If I could survive off 10K, I think if I made 30K a year, I'd be all right doing what I
Oh,
love.
wow.
And then like I don't know, I just want to have a family, man. I ain't even
Mhm.
gonna lie. I like have a nice little happy family, a little home. That was my big thing because I didn't have that growing up. And so like that's how I'm gonna define my life if I was successful or not, is if I have a happy, healthy family.
Right. Yeah, I think the reason I ask everyone this is because like I've heard a lot of places at this point that a lot of creative people, no matter how they describe it, they just kind of want freedom, and that's like not just the freedom to not have to have a part-time job and just be
Oh
able
my
to do
God,
what
that'd be
they
so
love.
beautiful. I'm so happy there was no like didn't have to watch my language during this. That is one of the
Yeah.
most difficult things for me to do. Whenever I go on radio, I have to like really think about what
Oh
I'm
yeah, I
saying.
didn't even think about that. Yeah. That's
There's
crazy.
been one time that I've cussed on a radio station, and it was because I said shit, and then I was like, oh fuck, and then I'm like, oh no, and it was just like rapid fire two cuss
Yeah.
words, and then everyone just started laughing. I was like 19. It was great.
Yeah.
This has been fun though. I really enjoy being able to come here and talk.
Thanks. Yeah, this is cool. Thank you for
Yeah.
telling me how to be a musician, because
Oh yeah. Slight work for the kids. Grandpa Ruch teaching. No, and don't get me wrong. I don't know jack shit about the music industry. Don't get me wrong. I'm just like I said with the ADHD, same thing in music. I'm flying on the edge of my seat.
yeah, I mean that's literally all you really can do. Like at the end of the day, like it's just continuing to create stuff is all that's gonna actually work.
I'm not bored. Don't worry. I know I
No,
keep
it's
yawning.
okay.
That's
It's
why I
like,
slammed this coffee when I got here.
dude, yeah, it's the afternoon. It's sleepy time.
Bro, I'm gonna take a fat nap
I should,
shortly.
but I don't know.
Ooh, I got a Tinder match.
Oh, fun.
Let's go.
I believe in you.
Thank
How do
you.
you how do you like open? Do you message first?
Yeah, check this out. There are 171,456 words in the English dictionary, and not one of those, or a couple of them put together, can describe how good you look right now.